Hello, thank you for coming to my presentation. My name is Junko Chujo from Tokyo City University, Japan. The aim of today's presentation is to share the examination results of the effect of a designed and developed pronunciation activity. The activity is designed based on the use of speech recognition systems such as Siri and Google Apps for Japanese university students. A special focus has been placed on the growth and improvement of the learner's affective phase and improving their self-monitoring skills. First of all, I'd like to explain the background of this research. There are two cycles with this research, the first and the second cycle. Since 2010, I've been conducting instructional design for Japanese university English learners to obtain internationally intelligible English pronunciation. My special focus has been developing effective in-class pedagogical materials for a classroom size of 30 to 40 students and fostering the learner's affective phase to become actively engaged in English communication. In the first cycle, the instructional design was conducted through 5 phases: analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. The affect-oriented pronunciation material that was developed has been repeatedly revised and implemented to investigate its validity and effectiveness for the target learners. The examination of its validity and effectiveness was held in the format of formative and summative evaluations in 4 universities for 17 classes. A total of 5 self-published textbooks were created, edited, and used in the process. During the examination of the effectiveness of the material, one of the research projects revealed that developing learners' self-monitoring and self-repair skill is essential for fostering autonomous learners, especially in classrooms with a large number of students. And more importantly, that the monitoring activity has a strong positive impact on the learner's affective phase. The developed pedagogical materials were summarized in the form of textbook. Now I Got It, a fun guide to English pronunciation, published by Sanshusha in 2017. This is a textbook. This has been used in Japanese universities for general education classes, pronunciation classes for English majors, and education classes for future teachers. In the past 5 years, over 3,500 students in universities all over in Japan have learned through this textbook. After 2015, using the studies of professionals and my practice in the classroom as a guide, the examination began. This is the second cycle and the research finding that I'm presenting today. The goal was the re-evaluation and recognition of the activity for a more intensive focus over a shorter period of time for a better ease of implementation. Within this framework, there is a special focus on monitoring. Examining the effect of pronunciation monitoring on learners' affective factors through self-evaluation activities using speech recognition systems as Siri and Google Apps. In the first cycle, students used a mirror, audio recordings, and video recordings to self-monitor. In the second cycle, in addition to this traditional way, the use of sound recognition system was added. These systems use available technology that students can access easily at any time. As I mentioned, one of the focuses in this design is the effect on the affective domain of the learners. The affective domain is believed to be very important in education and training. The affective domain concerned attitude, appreciations, values, and emotions such as enjoying, conserving, and respecting. Activities such as chants, music, and poetry are said to be effective for accessing the affective domain. Chants, music, and poetry can produce lowered anxiety and greater ego permeability among second language learners. Regarding monitoring, both language learning and a special focus on pronunciation are discussed. Monitoring is assuming a large role than it has previously played in language teaching. As part of learners taking responsibility for their own learning, self-monitoring is vital to learners' sense of control over their progress. Realistic goals for pronunciation instruction are developing functional intelligibility, developing communicativity, increasing self-confidence, and developing speech monitoring abilities and speech modification strategies for use beyond the classroom. Monitoring pronunciation through the use of smartphones, using video and apps such as Google Translation are used not only in English education but also in multilingual language education in Japan. Before I get into this research, I'd like to share an affective overview of the target students with the international audience. These findings were derived from the first cycle. These are Japanese university freshmen, non-English major students. The traits presented regard English and English pronunciation. These traits are compiled from the students' self-evaluation summaries from the first cycle. They think their overall English skill is low. Among 4 skills, they would like to improve speaking and listening. They have a strong desire to communicate. They do not know how to practice pronunciation. They feel English pronunciation is difficult. Their pronunciation intelligibility is low. So, the research on affective issues has been conducted for these students. Okay, let's move on to this research. The target instructional phonemes are L, R, U, F, V, V, S, Z, Sh. These are 10 most common sounds that cause communication breakdowns due to the first language negative influence, which is Japanese. There are a total of 6 self-monitoring activities with the speech recognition system was introduced. Pre and post instructions 1 and 6. These are the same ones and use all 10 consonants in a word initial. And after each instruction, 2 to 5 were introduced. Depending on the instruction, there are 1 to 3 target consonants. So first, pre-instructional survey was conducted. Then, self-monitoring activity with the speech recognition system number 1 was introduced. Then for 12 sessions, explicit pronunciation instruction was conducted using the textbook of Now I Got It 2017. And after each unit, self-monitoring activity with the speech recognition system 2 to 5 was introduced. And after all these instructions, once again, self-monitoring activity with the speech recognition system number 6 was introduced. Then the lessons concluded with post-instruction survey. And in this research, the results of number 1 and number 6 are presented. Here are the objectives of developed activity. This is especially focused on the first monitoring, the pre-instructional monitoring. Through the activity, students realize their current level of English pronunciation intelligibility. The pronunciation has a negative effect on oral communication. And there are handy, efficient, free pronunciation checking tools which they can use in everyday life. Also, through the experience, the activity allows the learner's interest and raise awareness of the element of pronunciation in English, obtain motivation for and meaning of practicing pronunciation, and make the most use from the instruction beginning the following week. To realize these objectives, this is a worksheet which was designed for this monitoring activity. In the class, students follow these instructions to work on the monitoring activity along the worksheet. 1. Switch the speech recognition language mode to English on your device. 2. Pronounce the listed 10 words one by one. Try 5 times for each word. The first and the sixth monitoring, the target words were real, volunteer, weather, locker, button, vanilla, surfing, theater, girl, battery. And number 3, record the recognition attempt to result. There are 2 records. 1, the first time the word is recognized out of 5 attempts. If recognized for the first time, write 1. If second time, then write 2. If no recognition was made, then write 0. And number of times recognized successfully 3 times, then write 3. If no recognition, 0. And number 4, if the trial was unsuccessful, write the misunderstood words. And number 5, write comments. Here is an example given in the instruction to the students. To realize these objectives, this is the worksheet which was designed for this monitoring activity. The activity was implemented along explicit instruction. The participants were 2 classes of 50 students. They are all first-year students. They are engineering majors in a private Japanese university. Their English was at the intermediate level, but in their self-evaluation of their pronunciation ability, they evaluated themselves. Their intelligibility was at 2.3 out of 10 points. The instruction was held for 13 weeks. Due to COVID, the entire instruction was held by recording, on demand. The instructor put all the teaching materials online, and students worked on their own. With the instructor's recorded class, students received instruction, worked on their activities, and practiced pronunciation. For this activity, 45 students used smartphones and 5 used PCs. 30 students used Siri, 18 students used Google application, and 2 students used some other program. After pre and post instructions, students answer to these 10 questions. The purpose was to examine the effectiveness and suitability of the activity. Here are the 10 statements. 1. I enjoyed this activity. 2. I was happy when my pronunciation was recognized. 3. I lost confidence when my pronunciation was not recognized. 4. It is convenient to check pronunciation. 5. It is an effective way to check pronunciation. 6. I raised my awareness toward pronunciation. 7. I raised my interest in pronunciation. 8. I'd like to attain the skills to be recognized. 9. I know how to practice to be recognized. 10. Pronunciation is difficult. Before getting into the result of the student's self-evaluation of the activity, I'd like to briefly share the recognition results. As I have mentioned in the introduction, this research is not focused on examining a student's pronunciation skill. However, it may give you the idea that what was the experience from the activity that student had. If you can take a look at these results, more than 50% of the student pronunciation was not recognized at all, with the word of real, locker, and vanilla, and also surfing. On the other hand, there were higher recognition of words that were possibly used more frequently. Battery and weather. And the misrecognized words which student took notes were as follows. So for example, student intend to pronounce the word real, and it recognized as machine, Leo, real, Leon, beer, near, meal, dear, we are. And some of the words are recognized as 2 or 3 words. For example, they tried volunteer, and it was recognized as a put on tier. Or locker for look up. Or vanilla for vanillo. Now here are the results of the questionnaire items. The first line presents the pre-instruction responses. This was the very first trial of the speech recognition system. The second line presents the post-instruction responses. The third line presents the differences between the two. By looking at the numbers for the first result, the first affective reaction can be seen. Looking at the comparison line, there seem to be a small differences between the pre- and post-instruction results. However, you can see that all the numbers improved in a positive direction, except number 10 item, pronunciation is difficult. The biggest difference was detected in number 9. I know how to practice to be recognized. The first result was 2.20 for the pre-instruction, and then 4.29 in the post-instruction. This is the difference of 2.09. Even though pronunciation performance results due to the instructions are not shown, it is clear that the students come to know how to practice improving their pronunciation. In addition to the questionnaire items asked after the pre- and post-monitoring activity, there are other questions asked in the post-instruction survey. Here are the 2 distinguished results that I'd like to share with you. The self-evaluation statement of "my pronunciation was recognized better" resulted in 4.21. The other statement that "I was surprised to know that my pronunciation recognition after the practice was better" resulted in 4.29 on the 5-point Likert scale. Further details of the activity's effectiveness was read from students' comments. The categories overlap and are often interrelated, but it was found there are 5 categories. 1. Realizing the states of their own ability. 2. Noticing or learning their own weak points. 3. Introducing motivation. 4. Raising awareness. 5. Recognize communication with the speech recognition system as an interlocutor. And here are the pedagogical implications. The activity affected the Japanese university students' affective phase, motivation, interest, noticing, and learning a new method of improving language skills. The very first trial showed the affective effects and the final showed higher. However, the feelings that pronunciation is difficult is high throughout the entire instruction, even higher after the instruction. Students are surprised to know that their pronunciation recognition can increase, increasing their feelings of effectiveness using this activity through the instruction. Systemic utilization of the activity has the possibility of providing an eye-opening experience in learners' English learning, especially in the oral communication phase. In conclusion, the presented self-monitoring activity provided effective monitoring tools that has effect on Japanese university students' affective domain and enabled them to track and record their pronunciation production. Even with the machine, their feelings were engaged and they endeavored to communicate with the system as an interlocutor. For future research, further research requires the examination of when and how to use this monitoring activity to bring about an even better effect. Here are the references used in this presentation. Thank you very much for listening.